You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 146. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We are so excited to have you here with us today. So today it's me, Kaylee, coming at you with a solo episode. Really excited to share this one with you because as the holidays are coming up, if you're listening to this episode when it aired originally, then holidays are coming up and that's a special time of year. It's that time where you're tired and your students' attention spans are just not what they used to be. So when you're tired, you really need some no prep activities that you can do just on the spot with short notice and next to no supplies that can fill time, but while still being enriching for both you and your students. So in this episode, we're sharing our go-to no prep social emotional learning and mindfulness activities that you can do with all ages whenever you need a filler activity, but you don't want to feel guilty that you're wasting time. You still want this to be something that's useful for both you and your students. So these are great activities for when a lesson goes faster than you expected and all of a sudden you have some extra time on your hands, or for when the holidays are coming up and both you and your students just need a bit of a break, or any time that you just want to infuse some social emotional learning at the last minute and you don't have time to prep some big activity. Before we get into the episode, we're excited to share this week's sponsor, the Styled Square. So are you a teacherpreneur or a teacher that runs a side hustle? Do you need a website ASAP? Or maybe your website needs a little facelift? If you don't have the budget for a full-on custom design, listen up. The Styled Square creates fully customizable Squarespace website templates that are so easy to use, but more importantly, their websites are built for seamless user experience that will lead to conversion, aka making money. And who doesn't love that? Think of the template as your website building blueprint. Grab a coffee and make the template your own. Just change the fonts, colors, and imagery. And boom, a beautiful and functional website at a fraction of the price. And isn't just that the best? So to learn about the Styled Square website templates, head to thestyledsquare.com. Again, that's thestyledsquare.com and use our exclusive promo code to save 15%. Our promo code is Balanced Educator 15. Again, that's Balanced Educator 15. Goodbye, website struggle bus. Hello, Styled Square. All right, so let's get into this week's episode where I'm going to be sharing 5 different really easy, super simple activities that you can just have in your back pocket at the back of your mind whenever you want to integrate some SEL at the last minute. So number 1 is, what are you grateful for? Now, this can, of course, be done in so many different ways based on the energy levels of your students and what your goals are, maybe what they're working on and what you have on hand. So this could be as simple as you asking your students, what are you grateful for today? And having a discussion where each person shares what they're grateful for. Or it can be a writing activity. One thing that I really like to do with older kids, and by older kids, I just mean any kids that are able to kind of write freely on their own, is that we set a timer for 5 minutes and everyone writes what they're grateful for nonstop for 5 minutes. So the goal is to never stop writing. Now, students can do this as just a list. So they're just writing one thing at a time and keep going for 5 minutes. Or you can ask them to include lots of adjectives and really paint the picture and explain why they're grateful for each thing. Now, the key here is that this is a great activity for you too, to help you turn your day around, create some good feeling emotions in your body, help you to settle any stress you might be feeling. You do this with your students. So everyone in the class, you included, is sitting down, writing, you're modeling what this looks like, staying on task for the whole 5 minutes, and you keep writing till you're done. Now, say your students need a movement break. Why not get them to act out what they're grateful for? And the class has to guess, or break them up into small groups and get them to share with each other, and maybe then list the things that they have in common that everyone was grateful for, or what was unique that they had. What did they share that was different from one another? So many easy ways to adjust this based on the mood, the grade level, the activity, and whatever you have on hand. So, number one, what are you grateful for? Many different ways to do that activity. Number two, go for a mindful walk. Now, I really love to do mindfulness walks on Fridays with my students. They know that every Friday I give them the option, do we want to go for a walk today? Now, this can be a little bit more complicated with younger kids. If you're going outside, it might take more than just 5 minutes. Maybe it's something that you do for 20 minutes if they have to get dressed up, especially in the wintertime, and get all of their gear on to get outside. But plan for whatever amount of time that you have going for a walk. And during that walk, everyone is silent and we look around us and take note of all the things that we're mindful for. That we're grateful for, or that we appreciate, or that we're experiencing. So I like to ask students to notice things that they've never noticed before. So this really encourages them to pay attention to the details. Use their 5 senses to notice things that when you're just walking and not being mindful, just, not thinking of what is actually happening in your body and your mind as you're doing the walk, you would miss. So our goal here is to be a detective and pick out experiences and images and sensations and sounds and smells that you wouldn't normally notice. And then you can have some really great discussions about this afterwards. And this can be an activity that you kind of extend into discussion time, or a writing activity afterwards to talk about what they noticed during their walk, or all sorts of things. Again, get them to act it out. What was the thing that they noticed that was so interesting, and see if other people can figure out maybe that other person noticed this thing that this same student noticed. So lots of ways to use all of our senses and our body and our mind to experience this mindful walk. Extend the activity longer, make it shorter, whatever. So it could even be as simple as walking through the hallway. Like, okay, let's walk to the gymnasium and back. And during this walk, no one's talking, but our goal is to notice 5 things that we've never noticed before. So gets us moving, gets us a bit out of the classroom, shakes things up a bit, and can be a calm activity, or it can be an exciting activity. Mindfulness doesn't mean you have to be calm. The goal with mindfulness is that we're paying attention to the present moment on purpose. So it can be calming if that's the goal, or it can just be a time to move your body if that's the goal. So number 2, go for a mindful walk. Number 3, do a kindness circle. So a kindness circle is awesome. The goal is to share kind words, kind thoughts, lift each other up. So one way that I liked to do this with my students is when I taught grade 6, this was a really fun activity. We really needed to increase the kindness in the classroom. So we really made this a practice. Every day there was kind of the star of the day, and it was their job to do kind of the tasks in the classroom that were more special, like taking the absences to the office, and those things that kids love to do. So when it was their day to be the star of the day, they were the person in the middle of the kindness circle. So we would do our mindfulness practice, and then afterwards, we would take turns each saying something kind about this person, that it was their day to kind of have the kindness showered over them. Now, it is important here to lay some ground rules with your students and model, so be the first one to share a kind word or thought so that you can model what it's like. But what I always said was, whatever it is that you share, the compliment that you give, it has to be about that person's personality. It can't be, about the things that they have. And it's very important that it is actually something kind. So, it can be something like, I love how you always have so much energy. It really brings more energy to the classroom. Or you're so funny. Or you have great style. So with that, you're not saying, oh, I like your sneakers, but more, you know how to put together an outfit in a way that looks really cool. So it's complimenting them, even though it's kind of about, I guess, a skill that they have. So this is really fun because just seeing the students' faces light up when they hear the compliments being given to them. And a lot of the times the feedback that the students whose turn it was to have the compliments given to them, they would say like, wow, I didn't know people thought that about me. Like a lot of times they don't realize that so many people in the class think that they're funny or think that they're really smart or, like that they're so kind, or like that, they're always fun to play with at recess. So it's really uplifting and really great. So this is something that, could be done in a single class. Maybe you break up into smaller groups or you, draw names and each person has one person to share a compliment with. The important thing here, though, is that as the teacher, you have some level of control over, or maybe not control, but you are a part of these conversations to ensure that they are being positive and that you can make sure that the things that are being shared are positive and intervene if they aren't. Kindness is sometimes something that needs to be built and practiced and doesn't always come naturally to everyone. So it's really important that we're actually teaching and modeling what it looks like and sounds like to share something kind with someone, to give them a compliment. So lots of different ways to adapt this. This could be something that you do, 5 minutes a day for the next 20 days, so that each student has their chance to be the person that gets compliments given to them by everyone in the class. Or it can be something that you do just during one class, kind of off the cuff. All right, so number 4 now, random acts of kindness. So this one's really fun because we work as a group to do something kind for someone else. So again, many different ways to interpret this and do this based on what you have on hand and the amount of time you want to put into this. But this could look like having a discussion with the class and choosing one person in the school that you think deserves a random act of kindness. Really great place to start can be, your custodians. They work so hard in the school to clean up after kids and they deserve extra credit. So that's a really great place to start. Or your administrators who, again, work so hard and don't always get to have those interactions with the students like you get to. So it can be really enriching for them to feel that the students really are going out of their way to do something kind for them. So select one teacher or one person in the school and then come together as a class to decide what could you do for them that would be kind. Now, this, again, can be as elaborate or non-elaborate as you want it to be. It can be writing a letter, drawing a picture for this person, inviting them into the class and singing them a song. It can be, baking them something, so many options of what you can do here. But the idea is that you work as a team to have a random act of kindness for someone that doesn't necessarily expect that it's coming. Or maybe this is something that you do within your classroom. So you kind of break into groups or something like that. And each group plans a random act of kindness for another group. And, maybe you figure it out by the end of 10 minutes. Everyone has planned and created their act of kindness for another group in the class. So as elaborate or as simple as you would like it to be. All right, so now we are on to our last activity, number 5, activities. So mindfulness activities or social emotional learning activities hosted by students. So the idea with this one is that students plan their own mindfulness activity, and then they teach this activity or kind of share this activity with the rest of the class. So my first thought of how to do this would be to break the class up into groups, and each group plans a mindfulness activity, and then you run it kind of like stations, or you take turns with one group kind of presenting to the rest of the class. So again, this can be elaborate and done over several classes, and it can be integrated into whatever curriculum content you're working on at the time. Maybe it's a writing activity, maybe it's a drawing activity, but a great place or a great way to, I guess, to help your students decide what to do is to base it off of the 5 senses. So how can we use our 5 senses to be mindful? So maybe this mindfulness activity looks like drawing a calming scene and using colors that make you feel calm. Or maybe it's coming up with a calming song that helps you to feel good. Or a song about paying attention to the things around you on purpose. So that what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment on purpose. So how can we pay attention to the present moment on purpose using our 5 senses through an activity? So maybe it's an eating activity where you're eating very slowly and really paying attention to the foods that you're tasting and the textures of that food and how it feels when you swallow it and what is happening in your mouth as you're chewing. What does it really feel like? And so lots of different things that you can do here. Now, if you've been using EduComm Classroom as a resource in your classroom, then your students probably have a really good idea of what a mindfulness practice is like. So when I did an activity like this with my grade 6 students back in the day, they really enjoyed creating mindfulness practice scripts. And it was so fun to see how much they really paid attention to the audios in EduComm. So if you use EduComm Classroom, the free trial or the paid version, you know that we have a specific formula of how the audios go. So we always start kind of using the same language, getting them seated in the same way, and we kind of end with the same way. There's a little ukulele song, a short ukulele song in the beginning and a short ukulele song at the end. So it's really fun to see how students kind of made that their own. And a lot of times they would really quote the vocabulary that we always use. So it's fun to see them use what they're learning and make it their own. So that is another idea of an activity that they could do that they're hosting for the other students. So they would actually read their scripts and have the rest of the class follow through the mindfulness activity. Or maybe they're coming up with a breathing strategy that they teach to the rest of the class. So a mindfulness or social emotional learning activity that is created by the students and they host it. So they teach it to the rest of the class. Now, I'm going to throw in a number 6 freebie here. Use EduComm Classroom. So if you haven't already signed up for the EduComm Classroom free trial or the full membership to EduComm Classroom, what are you waiting for? We have ready to use mindfulness activities for you in there that require 0 prep. And best of all, you get to practice with your students. So you don't have to be the teacher here. You get to be the student here. You get to press play and enjoy a calming 5 minutes or 2 minutes with your students, depending on which audios you choose. You could choose the 2-minute ones or the 5-minute ones. And you can be guided through this calming exercise with your students. Requires no prep. You just have to sign in and press play. Now, if you don't know this already, we also have a newer Introduction to Mindfulness video to use. So if, it's so no prep that you don't even have to teach your students what they're supposed to do when they're listening to the audios, you can press play on the Introduction to Mindfulness video. It teaches students what mindfulness is, why it's important, what they're supposed to do during the mindfulness activities. So you can play that and then press play on one of the mindfulness audios, and everyone gets to breathe and feel calm and feel ready for calm and focused learning after. So if you haven't signed up for EduCalm yet, go to educalm.com, click on the free trial, and that'll get you signed up for that free trial. With the free trial, you get access to the Start Here theme forever. So it never expires. You can use it for as long as you want. That might be enough resources for you forever. You find that that's all that you need. Or if you'd like to have a ready to use audio for every single day of the school year with lots of different themes to go through and choose from, then you can sign up for a full membership, which will give you access to all of the themes in EduCalm Classroom, and you will never have to prep an SEL activity for the rest of the year, and you get to learn alongside your students. All right, so for this list again, number 1, what are you grateful for? Number 2, go for a mindful walk. Number 3, do a kindness circle. Number 4, random acts of kindness. Number 5, mindful activities or social emotional learning activities hosted by your students. And number 6, use our ready-to-use resources at educalm.com. All right. So hopefully this helps to get you through those more challenging times when you're nearing a break in school, when everyone's attention is kind of starting to waver and you need to refocus. Hopefully this brings some calm and focus into your day. Now, this episode is going to be our last episode before the holidays, and then we will be coming back in the new year. Now, in the new year, we're going to be making a bit of changes to our schedule. So we are going to be releasing episodes once a month instead of once every 2 weeks. Now, the reason that we're making this change is just because what is going on in our personal and professional lives, we have decided to edit where we are putting our time and energy to experiment with a couple new things. So we're excited to share our kind of new offerings with you in the new year. And we hope that this new schedule is going to serve you really well as us. Now, I encourage you, this is a great time of year to do some editing in your own life. You know, sit down and look at where am I spending my time and my energy during the, throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And is the way that I'm spending my time and energy feeling uplifting to me? Is it helping to move me towards my goals? Do I feel nourished when I'm doing these activities? Does it feel like I am providing value in the places that I want to provide value in the world? So we just recently did one of these edits in our personal and professional lives. It's something that we like to do often, make sure that we are spending our time and energy on the things that are the most important to us. So yeah, this is going to be the edit that we do, and we're going to experiment with this. Everything's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. And we look forward to connecting with you again in the new year. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. If you got value from this episode, we encourage you to share it with someone else that you think will enjoy it too, someone else that could use some mindful activities to have in their back pocket when they're short on time and energy. Enjoy your week, enjoy your holidays, and we will talk again soon.